What's up, J-Brones? Live from Brooklyn, New York and Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada, this is the Torture Wracked podcast. I am your host, Marc Bass. My co-host is John F. Malta, and we are very happy to be here with you, our friends in wrestling. John, say something. Let the people know you're alive, pal.
Huge thanks to everyone for all of the pre-orders of Torture Wracked Issue 4. Just want to go ahead at the top of the show and say that the support for this project I really appreciate it. It's awesome that we have so many pre-orders for Issue 4 and the collected issue of Torture Wracked in the first week of pre-sales. And yeah, it's
even just the comments I'm seeing on Instagram of people being like, I just pre-ordered this, which I assume is not everyone who pre-ordered. It's just some people who are vocal about it. So it's been incredible seeing that, and yeah, the interest.
It's been cool. I'm psyched to get this out. As we're recording this, pre-orders will be closed by the time this podcast posts. And for anyone that it has been listening to this that did pre-order it, the printer will start printing books like next week, and then I should have them in hand by mid-July, and then they'll go out the date I posted. Should go out July 20th was like the safety date. Could go out before then. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks to everybody for that. For more information, you can follow us on Torture Wracked's Instagram at Torture Wracked, spelled W-R-A-C-K-E-D. But if you're on this podcast, you probably know we spell it that way.
John, I've never asked you about the name. I just always thought it was awesome, but I never asked you about the how you came up with it.
I knew I wanted to name it after a wrestling move that I liked.
Did you know you wanted to name it in the past participle of the wrestling move?
No, but I liked that I think that the name, it's suggesting that someone was torture racked.
Yeah, having been torture
instead of
racked.
torture. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I love it.
Yeah, it kind of just perfectly came to me title-wise. I had finished the issue, the very first issue in the fall of 2018, and was looking at the different articles and kind of made a list of different moves that move names that I like, and my favorite move name is Arihara Moonsault, but that's I don't think that's a very good magazine title.
I thought it was going to be what your shirt is right now, which is the Gotch style pile driver.
I mean, that's a good name. I'd see that name though.
Gotch style would be a good, not as good as Torture Wracked, but Gotch style would be a cool magazine name. In
my mind though, because it's Suzuki's finisher, and he
right.
He owns that. I don't know. It's not that he owns the name, since it's Karl Gotch descended from him. But
right.
In present day, in my mind, because this is a shirt I bought at his store from him.
So, I really like that kind of tradition. It really feels like, especially in Japan, wrestlers are, and in North America too, but wrestlers are very reverent about moves and about sort of creating their own move. And if they want to use someone else's move, often it is passed down to them.
There's a lineage to it.
Yeah. It's not just totally. Oh, I like the Gotch style, so I'm just going to start doing that. You know what I mean? I mean, do you think that does happen though? Is there times when people don't have a very notable finisher and then someone else starts doing it, but using a different name without asking? Does that happen a lot?
Yeah, that happened in recent memory. Someone on the NXT roster did that with Taz. And I hadn't really thought about or heard about Taz prior to maybe between TNA and AEW. This was the one moment I can think of where that happened. I don't remember the.
Were they using the Taz mission?
Yeah, and Taz posted you might want to something seemed like he was taking very.
You might want to ask before you use my move, jerk off.
yeah, that. That's the sentiment was very serious, and he was mad
because I know that
it might have been. I don't remember who it was, so I don't know.
Because I know that Kevin Owens asked Stone Cold if he could use the stunner.
Right, yeah.
And I love the stunner as a Kevin Owens move, but also it feels like it can't really be his move. It will never be his move as long as Stone Cold is in alive.
It's too much of an homage to. I don't think it will ever be Kevin
right, because
Owens.
every time he does it, we can see him impersonating Stone Cold doing it.
Right. It's not necessarily I think there are instances where it could transition to someone else. I'm trying to think if there's someone else maybe that's made like, can you think of anyone that has taken on a move and then maybe done it themselves in a way where it's become their own? Like Minoru Suzuki in the Gotch style pile driver is what I am thinking of, at least. But I can't think of another instance of that, like in WWE maybe.
I don't know. I was just like thinking about Show with his
Is it the Shock Arrow?
Shock Arrow, which is basically like kind
might be wrong,
of a package pile driver, but then he puts the arms around and grips the arms when he's doing it.
Oh yeah.
So like that's what I thought of. That's what made me think about it. Like, oh, that's like kind of a typical move, but he really made it his own. And now if someone started doing that without asking him, he'd be pissed. So it's like there is like a real reference.
There are different instances,
and you have to kind of be creative or take a move. I feel like there's like public domain moves, like a DDT is like in the public domain. So if you can make a DDT your move just by adjusting a little bit, like Mox with the paradigm shift.
Draped double arm draped DDT.
Yeah.
The one move I could think of actually, and I actually was just thinking about this while I was watching New Japan, the Last Ride. What is the genesis of that powerbomb? Did Undertaker first do it, or is that?
I'm pretty sure that's an Undertaker move, and they like when they call it
previous.
Well, certainly it wasn't called the Last Ride, and they identify it as the Last Ride in New Japan. I noticed that today when I was watching Night 6 of New Japan. That's who does the Last Ride in New Japan.
Ibushi and Taichi both.
Right, and so they call it the Last Ride. I'm like, that's the Undertaker name. There might have been like a raised,
like someone's done a raised powerbomb, but that I remember, at least from watching my own personal history of watching wrestling. The first time I remember seeing that move used was I remember the Undertaker adding it to his moveset and it being a big deal.
Well, that was his new move when he came back as the American Badass.
Right.
Like he needed a new Undertaker finisher, and the Last Ride was like because he's a biker.
Yeah. So but that being said, so that move, the name sometimes takes me out of it when it says that, because I've thought every time when Ibushi or Taichi does that, oh, is that? I wonder if that was Undertaker's move originally. I thought it was.
I think what makes
they
it
both
okay
have
is
made it their own, though.
But it's like a transitional move for them, right?
It's not their finishers. Yeah, no. Black Mephisto and Kamigoye.
Yeah. So if Ibushi used the Last Ride as his finisher and then pinned him for the 3, that would be weird. We'd be like, that's kind of Undertaker. But using it as a transitional move, especially when Taker's not actively using it. But that's interesting. I wonder if they ever... I can't imagine Ibushi like emailing the Undertaker.
No. That email would be so funny. Would Undertaker know who Ibushi is? It's like...
Dear Kota, who are you?
But circling back to your original question about the name, that's what I was thinking. I like that what you said about public domain names, and just that there are certain moves that are like public domain. And to me, the torture rack was one of those moves.
Absolutely.
And that was what I was thinking is like I couldn't name, and I think that's why initially when you said, well, Gotch style is like a cool name, it is, but it's also someone's finisher, and I didn't want to name it after like an established wrestler's finisher. So then it's like, well, it's Gotch style. Is this like the Minoru Suzuki magazine? And
you're not going to name it like Suplex magazine or anything, or Power Bomb magazine. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, both of those sound not that sounds like I can imagine that magazine. That's a very we should make a parody magazine called Powerbomb Magazine. That's like
it would be like the Southpaw Regional Wrestling of this podcast.
Oh right, yeah. It's like mostly about working out, getting real jacked.
No, it's wrestling. No? It's our Wrestling Observer newsletter parody.
Oh, Powerbomb Magazine is
Powerbomb Magazine, and you're Dave Seltzer, and I'm Brian Yelvarez.
That's a good parody nickname for Brian Alvarez. It's pretty funny.
No, Ryan Yelvarez.
Ryan Yelvarez.
Ryan Yelvarez. -6 stars. I would do a better Alvarez, I promise.
But yeah, titles I feel like are one of my favorite things to come up with for projects. Like I'm glad that we have I came up with this title, and I just finished one of the other titles that kind of is a recent title for me is a comic that I've been working on called Charlie Cobwebs, where that name kind of just came to me at the end of the project also. I think it's weird. It's a funny question. I'm glad that you asked me this now that I'm thinking about it. It's like most of the time I have a bigger idea for a project. I write the project and then I come up with the name at the end as kind of like a final sentence, all-encompassing thing.
Yeah, I just remember thinking, like, that's a great name. I remember thinking, like, isn't a torture rack with an R? And, like, the magazine's with a WR. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, that's what's so good about it to me, because it also, like, brings to mind, like, to me, like, being, like, racked with guilt or something like that. Like, rack.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just, it's like I'm torture racked with this feeling.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love it. I think it's a perfect name. The only other public domain name I can think of that would be good would be one that definitely exists already, which would just be Pile Driver. But that's also seems like a parody or like a really good magazine from the 80s.
Pile Driver magazine. Yeah, it's funny that Pile Driver magazine has such a different tonality than Powerbomb magazine.
Yeah, Pile Driver sounds like tough, but also like very homoerotic. Powerbomb just sounds dumb.
Like it sounds like something that would be given away at like a bodybuilding competition.
There was a few things I've been wanting to talk about for a couple of weeks, and I just keep forgetting. I just wanted to mention this because I thought you would think it was funny, but also sort of interesting. So you might have realized right before AJ Styles won the Intercontinental Championship tournament, he moved from Raw to SmackDown. Did you know why he moved from Raw to SmackDown?
I don't, actually. And it's funny because you've mentioned a couple times to me that talking about the AJ... I forgot to talk about the AJ stuff. I don't know what you're going to say, so I'm not sure. No, I don't know where this is
It's
going.
really not a big thing. I just thought it was interesting and also funny. So apparently, this is before, obviously, Heyman got fired as the head of creative of Raw. But there was heat between AJ and Paul Heyman because AJ was really mad at Heyman for not doing more to keep the Good Brothers.
Oh,
Carl
yeah.
and Luke. So he was apparently really, really mad. And, you know, wanted to move to SmackDown as sort of like to get away from that environment because, you know, he really missed his friends. They'd been there for the length of the time that he'd been there. But also, I heard that the Raw locker room, like, sort of teased him a lot for, like, his beliefs, including, like...
AJ Styles?
Yeah, including because he, like, believes in flat Earth.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Yeah, he's like
No.
He's like a flat earther. And so like the I just imagine like him walking through the Raw locker room and being like, "Hey AJ, like you think the earth is flat," and just kind of like wiping away like a tear from his eye.
And previously the Good Brothers had his back.
Yeah, exactly. And now there's no one there to
The earth is flat. Leave AJ alone.
The earth's on a disc. We can all see it. I totally wonder if they had his back or they were just like, let's not talk about it.
Dude, they definitely had his back. The Good Brothers, LG and Carl were only in WWE because of AJ.
Yeah,
I mean, they're talented, but it like
yeah.
I remember reading a bunch of different times about how he was a big part of their coming with him. And yeah, it sucks that they're gone. Well, I don't think it sucks that they're gone. Actually, I mean, from my perspective, I want to see Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson in all their glory, like they
unleashed.
Like, in the moments that they're able to wrestle in WWE, it's always enjoyable to watch. You know, you're going to get some sick like big man moves from Luke. Carl Anderson always like, I don't know, Carl Anderson has such a surprising and unexpected moveset for the type of wrestler that he is. You assume he's, from the way, if you only knew him through WWE and not through New Japan, you probably would just think this is another random like mid-card guy.
That's it.
Like,
I keep getting my mind blown by New Japan, like knowing that Carl Anderson was in like the finals of the G1 against Okada, right?
Yeah, and he played a pretty big role in like the beginning of the Never Openweight title as well. Like
right. And then also Albert, aka Prince Albert.
Prince Albert.
What is what is he in New Japan? He's like, is he like Albert Heavy or something?
I forget. No, isn't he just Mark? Is he just Mark Bloom?
No. He has a name. But anyway, he won the New Japan Cup, right? He won the New Japan Cup, and he was in the finals 3 times. And then that's wild.
I knew that he wrestled a lot in New Japan, but yeah, I did not. That's definitely an era of New Japan that I've not watched enough of to really know much of, apart from brief things I've read online or like some of the videos. Oh, Giant Bernard.
Giant Bernard. I knew it was like, I said Albert Heavy. I knew it was something like
Albert Heavy. But yeah, the presentation is everything though, because he's someone, I thought he was funny when I was a little kid as Prince Albert. And
well, he was named after a cock ring.
Yeah, exactly. But I didn't know that when I was like 12. Like my parents didn't explain that to me.
They didn't sit you down.
Yeah, no. I think maybe my mom actually did eventually. Like not as because my mom's very funny and will say things like off the cuff like that, like what you just said.
I was also saying like how funny it was the other day when we were talking about Al Snow. I was listening to it back and we gave no context whatsoever. So if you don't know Al Snow, we were just talking. We were like, Al Snow has, got head in ECW. And then he still has head when he moves to WWE. And you always want to see, people still have head. And just without context, that sounds
out of
hilarious.
Context. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah,
so it's not
it doesn't call to mind that like he's carrying around a mannequin head and is being booked as this person who like can speak to this inanimate head.
Yeah.
Same thing with Prince Albert. Like out of context, out of the world of wrestling, the name means something completely different.
I remember not knowing that it meant that necessarily, but knowing that it meant something. I remember being like
something is like that. There was something beyond.
Yeah, there was some meaning to it, and like they were alluding to it, and I felt like maybe it had to do with a dick, but I wasn't sure, and I didn't want to know, to be honest.
So now AJ is in the SmackDown locker room.
Yes. So hopefully they're nicer.
And he's not being teased.
I have gotten no reports. Ryan Satin hasn't called me yet to let me know anything about that. But he's
just waiting for that phone call.
He's the Intercontinental Champion. I love that they gave him that belt. He's the only one he hasn't gotten. So
yeah, well, and now Luke Gallows and Anderson, it seems like they're Impact bound. Which I actually think I would watch. I will watch. Maybe we should watch Slammiversary.
When is that?
I think it's next month. But yeah,
I don't know. I looked at the Impact Championship match, and it was like 3 people versus mystery opponent, and the 3 people I had no idea who they were. And
but like I last year before AEW started would watch Impact every now and then.
Yeah. Back
when like the Lucha Bros were on it and Santana and Ortiz.
Right.
It was good.
Yeah. No, that's true.
And like I just think like, and at that time, I mean, I did not know who Santana and Ortiz were at that time. I knew them. I learned who they were through Impact basically, and then it was cool knowing that when they came to AEW, those are the guys that I seen on Impact a couple of times.
It's so funny about Santana and Ortiz. I didn't think they would end up being sort of one of the enhancement talent of the division, but they kind of.
Do you think they would be booked stronger?
I thought they would be like
top tier.
Yeah, top tier, like in the championship picture. But they're just more like Jericho's goons who like take a lot of losses at the moment.
Yeah, I mean the tag division's so stacked though with the top of the division. I agree though with the way that they debuted. They've had a lot of pretty like substantial tag debuts, like Dark Order and Proud and Powerful both.
I'm going to catch some more heat from you and Thomas from this, but I see Proud and Powerful not even on the rankings, and I'm like, we really have to have QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes up there.
We do. Give QT a shot, man. I do. And put into that context, you're not going to catch flack from me. I am a QT Marshall fan now, but yeah, like
that makes absolutely no sense.
For Proud and Powerful, have they even had a tag title shot yet?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did they? Did we ever see it's weird. Did we ever see them face like SCU? I don't think so.
Maybe
that seems like it would be. They might have it on Dark. Yeah, that just seems like it would be a good match.
Yeah.
Like Kaz and Scorpio versus PNP. But I'm. Maybe we should look at the Slammiversary card and consider watching it.
Yeah, it'll just be depending on like how stacked the week is, I suppose.
Yeah, because if it happens in July has been an absolutely stacked month for wrestling. So much stuff has happened and so much stuff incoming. GCW, The Backyard, WWE Extreme Rules, The Horror Show. Is that really what it's called? Have you seen that?
I have seen that, yeah.
Is that actually the name?
I think all their names or subtitles are just trolling now. So there was like the greatest wrestling match ever was to troll people into watching it, so they would be like, no, it's not. And this is like,
right, The Horror Show. This is going to be some wild shit.
Yeah,
Let's check it out.
It's sort of it's some wild stuff right now. You know, a bunch of our roster is sick.
But Dominion's incoming, like New Japan Cup Finals. There's so much stuff, and then GCW has some end of the month homecoming shows like
Fyter Fest night 2.
Right. Yeah. So I guess it'll be based on that because we both watch a lot of wrestling and watch things apart from wrestling too. I just finished watching. What did you think of? This is completely not wrestling related. So
please,
quick sidebar for our podcast Talking Films. Did you? I'm sure you see the movie Her Smell.
I did see Her Smell. Yeah, I saw it at TIFF.
What did you think of that movie?
What did I think?
Did you like it?
I did like it. I would never.
I didn't love it, which is why I'm asking what you think.
Sure.
I just watched it last night with Siobhan.
It's been a while. I saw it at TIFF at the premiere, so I haven't seen it since then. I am a fan of Alex Ross Perry's movies. They are often like very deeply unpleasant in a lot of ways to watch, and they deal with like, you know, sometimes like mental health and people with personality disorders and stuff like that. So I knew it was going to be unpleasant to watch. It's probably the most unpleasant out of all of them to watch. In fact, I think it is.
What's like another movie of theirs?
Alex Ross Perry, he directed Queen of Earth, also with Elizabeth Moss, which is about a friend who's gone through a breakup, and so she goes to a cottage with her best friend, but then her best friend just ends up kind of hooking up with this guy who is also in a cottage, and then she kind of loses her mind. It's like a psychological, not quite horror, but like a psychological thriller or something like that, but more, both Elizabeth Moss, who's like one of the best actors, and then also like Listen Up Philip with Jason Schwartzman, who's like a deeply unpleasant author.
That description that you gave makes sense, because I went in the trailers for that movie, you know, she's covering The Only Ones, Another Girl on Another Planet. I was like, this is going to be a sick new punk movie, like all the like my favorite punk movies, like Suburbia, SLC Punk, Repo Man.
I just downloaded Suburbia.
Oh yeah, it's good. Have you seen it before?
I have not. I'm a fan of Penelope Spheeris's work.
Sick. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Sick. But yeah, that I went in and watched that movie, not hoping, but thinking that that's what the movie was going to be. So at the end of the movie, I was like, I did not like that movie, but I think because I wasn't expecting what it was, and I don't think I was in the mindset to watch that last night.
A couple movies have come out recently I consider more experiential movies that kind of put you through the ringer. That is probably the one I liked the most. In that sense, the one I liked the least would be Mother by Darren Aronofsky. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
That's like an onslaught movie that kind of devolves into madness and is often just like long camera takes that are like hard to watch, and it's unpleasant. Her Smell is like that because she like, you know, is going through the backstage just kind of like yelling at everyone, and just it's just a cacophony of things happening and none of them are happy.
Yeah. And Siobhan loved the movie, and we had a conversation about it last night, and just how it ended, and I felt very like I did not like that at all.
It's basically like a 5-act movie, and the first 3 acts are like really hard to watch. And then the 4th act is like her sort of redemption arc when she's singing the Bryan Adams song to her daughter.
Right.
And then the last one is like her concert, basically. But
I might rewatch it.
I really liked it. A lot of people who are fans of Alex Ross Perry like really didn't like it at all. So I wouldn't. There's certain movies I would try to convince you on. This would not be one of them, because it's like either you can kind of take it or you can't. Right. Because she is very hard to watch and is like just kind of a raving egomaniac for most of the movie.
Totally.
But as a music movie, I found it very interesting, just kind of watching how people collaborate with like difficult artists who are kind of up their own ass. Like when those.
Yeah, I feel like I need to rewatch the movie with a new mindset. That's an interesting point of view too. Like, because I went in expecting like a fun punk rock movie.
Yeah.
Not,
I think if I was marketing that movie,
like
I would also probably have tried to convince you that it wasn't what it was. Certain movies are just hard to advertise. It's
yeah, totally
hard to advertise. Like, come have kind of a bad time at this movie.
Have you watched anything recently that you're psyched about that's non-wrestling related?
I'll tell you, I watched the Edge documentary Sorry, this is wrestling related, but
this is wrestling.
I wanted to just.
What's this documentary called? The Edge.
I wanted to drop this in just because I was just talking to my mother, and she was like, "I watched the documentary about the Edge on WWE," and I was like, "Oh, Edge," and I thought she was talking about the U2 guitarist, and she was like, "I really liked it. He seems like he's a really good looking boy," and just talked about it. So I immediately just threw it on and watched it. And those WWE 24, I think you've said it, but they're like the best thing that has come out of the WWE network.
Yeah, 365 and 24 both I feel like are the best produced WWE content. They're always great to watch. It feels like they actually do show vulnerable moments or moments that are real versus things being so produced.
Oh yeah, it's like, what do you want to watch the Attitude Era and hear like Bruce Pritchard tell you how that came to be and stuff? Like, it's just all gonna be fucking bullshit. Like, it's just all company fucking bullshit.
Yeah, totally. I have not seen the Edge documentary, but I'll definitely check it out. I do think it's funny. Thomas send us that they did a 365 with Ricochet?
Yes.
And it seems like almost like a kayfabe news
it looked
article.
Like you're absolutely right. It's like, celebrate like an amazing year of Ricochet. He teamed with Cedric Alexander for 2 weeks and then has never been on a pay-per-view, and he had some great matches on Main Event against,
like, the only thing I could think of that's like, that was like, we're gonna think of that like in a couple of years again still is when him and Alistair faced off against War Machine. Imagine, oh my god, like, think about all, like, Alistair, I feel like
but that wasn't even on the main roster.
That was on NXT, but all of them, that match was one of my picks for our super card last year.
It's a great match
because I loved it so much. And it's just wild to think of, like, and I love War Machine, War Raiders, Viking Experience, whatever their name is now. Like, I loved them prior to their main roster run, and yeah, it's wild to see what they've degenerated to. And
I don't even want to talk about them, but
no,
Ricochet and Aleister Black was one of those tag teams that just kind of got thrown together. That ended.
It seemed weird at first, but then it worked.
It worked so well. Honestly, I would kind of compare them to Kenny and Hangman in just the terms of, like, they seem like a random thrown together. I think if they had been continued to let kind of go wild, like, they could have been great in the tag team division.
That's a dream match that I had not thought of. That would be absolutely insane. It's Aleister Black and Ricochet versus Hangman and Kenny.
What's funny is that if you looked at the WWE tag team, like, champions over the last year, you would be convinced that it was an amazing year for tag team in WWE, because you have like the Good Brothers or the OC, the Revival, New Day, Usos, a lot of great teams, but none of them had a substantial reign, and they just hot-shotted the belts back and forth, and OC and Revival were basically used interchangeably.
Right.
And now, like, FTR is ripping it up in AEW, and like you said, Good Brothers are probably going to go to Impact and be absolutely unleashed, and yeah, it's just crazy how much of an afterthought the tag team division is in WWE.
Well, and it's all about presentation, and I feel like AEW's done a really good job of positioning and presenting different people over the last year, that they brought in different people. It's been cool to see them present people in different ways, kind of like change gears or sort of shift directions. Like, on Being the Elite this week, Brody, I am 1,000% sold on Dark Order now.
I know, isn't
Brody
it so
Lee,
funny?
I can't believe this. Yeah, if you go back, I'd be interested to hear. I mean, I kind of know the general gist of what we said in the first episode on Dark Order and how we both were not stoked on Brody versus Mox.
Honestly, these episodes
we love the match.
Yes. These episodes have aged terribly because all of the things we've complained about have been fixed. Like, we were complaining about Taz not yelling in the "Who can stop the path of cage?" and then they re-recorded it. Can we get the analytics on this podcast and see if any of them are coming from Daily Plaza? Because I think Tony Khan has got his hands on it and is listening to us.
Exactly. He heard your impression of Taz yelling, "Who can stop the path of cage?" and was like, that guy sounds more like Taz than Taz sounds like Taz.
And they did contact me and were like, do you want to come play Taz the way that they had the fake Razor Ramon in WWE? But yeah, the Edge documentary is really cool. I realized that I kind of disliked Edge. Not having seen kind of his solo run. Like, I knew Edge from Edge and Christian. Like, they were always the heel tag teams. I didn't want to see Win versus the Hardys and the Dudleys. Even though, obviously, like, they were very talented. And Edge would do sick, like, spears off the ladder and stuff like that. But also, like, the Edge Lita angle. Like, and sort of Matt Hardy as the odd man out in that. And them using their relationship as, like, a storyline. I always thought, like, wow, Edge is, like, kind of an asshole. And then in order to, like, round out my thoughts about that, I went and read, like, Lita talking about the whole... their, like, affair and stuff, and, like, how terrible they felt and how it happened. And it just made me have a lot more, like, sympathy for Edge, and his relationship with Beth Phoenix is, like, the cornerstone of the doc, and they just seem to love each other so much, and it's so cool watching them work out together and stuff. So basically what happened is Edge obviously retired, and then he started to get into acting a little bit, just sort of by chance, and started working for, like, Vikings, a show that was shot in Nova Scotia. And he started doing his fight scenes, and he was, like, taking bumps, and never really thought about it, but was very physical. And then he was riding with Sheamus on like Sheamus's workout YouTube show or whatever. He crashed his bike, and the first thing he realized was that his neck didn't hurt. And so he just, like, kind of went and got checked up and everything. And his doctor was like, hey, you don't have an 18-year-old's neck, but everything's good. There's no pressure on the spine. And that's sort of when he got the inkling, holy shit, I could get back in the ring again. So he went and talked to the WWE doctor, who said he would never wrestle again, called Beth Phoenix and was like, I'm cleared. And so what was really cool is that because he needed to train, but he didn't want to go to the performance center, like it would just kind of be too much pressure, they sent him a ring to his house. And
whoa,
the first person,
like, to put in his backyard.
It's like a garage, basically.
Yeah.
So the first person that he wrestled with was Beth Phoenix, because they were just, doing stuff together, and it was just, like, really.
Well, and she's done some spots in, like, the Rumble, like the women's Rumble, like she's wrestled here and there still. So it's cool to. That's a cool visual.
Yeah.
I gotta watch this.
It's really cool, and she can take bumps too, and she can, like, lift him up. She's not, like, a frail person.
Yeah, she's like Xena, warrior princess.
Yeah, she's freaking awesome. So it's really cool. But then the second person that he wrestles with is, I don't want to get this wrong, but Dax Harwood.
Oh, I don't. If you showed me pictures of the Revival right now, I couldn't name. I don't know which is which.
Yeah.
Still,
it's
prior to their name change and with their name change. I don't know if it's like Cash Wheeler, Dax Harwood. They sound like interchangeable like names.
I want to just figure out what his actual name is. Dash Wilder. So he is the one who usually has the hair, and the other guy doesn't. So, like, the bald guy who kind of looks like a good brother. Not him, the redhead. So apparently Edge gave him one of his first big breaks in, like, the industry, and they're, like, just, like, really tight. And so he was the first person that they let into the compound to, like, wrestle with him, and you get to see them wrestling together in the ring, and it's fucking awesome.
Well, and who better to, like, wrestle a person who's trying to come back, who needs to be worked safely, than the Revival?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Nothing is going to happen to you in the hands of the Revival.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's really cool. The quality of those documentaries is mind-blowing, that they're so good. And it's weird. Like, NXT uses a lot of that stuff in the builds to their shows, but I feel like WWE does not use a lot of that kind of stuff to the builds to their shows. And as a viewer, I feel like I would be more prone to watch WWE if those kinds of things were incorporated into just a regular show.
Yeah, I don't know why they can't use more real stuff. Like, why can't they let people be real? Why do they have to make them into these characters that we don't like Roman Reigns, when we would like Roman Reigns if he was just himself? Like, everyone says
the real
that.
person seems awesome.
He seems friggin' awesome. Like, he doesn't walk around going suffer and succotash. You know what I mean? He wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I 100% agree. Should we move into AEW?
Dude, yeah, this was a great week. Personally, for me, for AEW, this is the first week in a while where I've watched like all of the content that they produced, just because it was a pay-per-view week. So went out of the way to watch Being the Elite. I watched AEW Dark again, and then just the build to Fyter Fest, the Road to Fyter Fest videos.
Oh, wow.
Being the Elite, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier with Brody Lee, like, I am so sold on him. He has a bit, for anyone listening that might not have seen that episode yet, go back and watch this week's episode of Being the Elite. There's a moment with him and Hangman where Hangman walks up to him, to Brody backstage, and says, "Hey, Brody, I don't know what's going on. I never got a reply back. I sent an email to join the Dark Order and didn't hear anything." And then Brody like looks visibly like stressed, like, "What do you mean you emailed us?" And then he was like, "Well, we still have spots. You know, you could come and be a part of the Dark Order. Like, we're still accepting applications. We'd love to have you." And then Hangman's like, no, I'm in a much better place now. Like, I'm tag champ. Things are on the upswing for me right now. No thanks, man. Good luck with your cult. Like, I'll see you later. Like, and then Brody just furiously like stomps through the backstage area, finds the Dark Order like underlings, hits them all with papers, is screaming in their faces, like
just throws a huge wad of emails at them, printed off emails.
Yeah, printed off emails. Like, he's screaming about 40,000 emails. He's like screaming, "Are you fucking kidding me? Do you like fucking cowboy shit?" Like, it made me laugh so hard, and like I rewatched it a couple times just because it's so funny and it's so cool to see. Like, yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like I love talking about the things we like and dislike about wrestling. We love wrestling so much, and it's fun to critique things. So it's been interesting to see how that character has shifted from when he first came in off of the heels of WWE doing a Vince McMahon parody to now becoming this like funny but serious boss who doesn't have, his loss to Mox, I feel like where Brody's character is being built right now. His loss to Mox, the fact that like he's getting all these emails, but all of the underlings clearly aren't screening the emails. There's too many of them. And now this character is being built where he's trying to hold everything together, but he's not holding everything together. And he's supposed to be the leader, but he's not necessarily winning. But then he is starting to help some people win. So there's like this like sort of dichotomy that's happening with his character that I really, really, really love.
They finally have found a good balance. I think that's what it was, is that there was too much of him just yelling at people at first. And then no wins and no like nice moments where you'd see why you'd be persuaded by him. It was just him as a dick yelling at people for sneezing.
And then doing Vince McMahon parody.
And then just lose it. And then they all just lose. But it's really starting to work now that they're winning. Now that you're starting to see more of the recruitment on the side, like the Colt Cabana thing sort of slowly happening. But also just like when someone wins and he just comes out and just stares at them and just nods. Like, it's really effective.
And they're all standing at the entranceway watching the win happen. Like,
well, just the intimidation
really cool
factor of like them coming out and just watching the match sometime. Just Brody and like 4 members of the Dark Order in masks just standing there. It reminds me so much of Trump just looming behind Hillary Clinton during the debates.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. But yeah, and overall, yeah, I'm glad that I watched Being Elite this week. I regularly watch it for a while and then kind of stopped watching it. But definitely going to keep tuning in for the Dark Order bits for sure. And AEW Dark this week, I feel like, was the most... In recent weeks, there have been some story progression on Dark. Griff Garrison, Fake Jungle Boy fought Ricky Starks. Scorpio Sky fought Brady Pierce, the dude with the gold boots. There's the tag match. But overall, really, the two things that I felt were worth watching on Dark were Butcher and Blade versus Lowrider and Fuego del Sol. Taz throughout that is just like hyping up Butcher and Blade throughout the entire thing. Like, it sounds like Taz hangs out with the Butcher and Blade. He's like, as their pyro's going off, he's screaming, "Yeah, blow that pyro off."
Yeah, blow that pyro off!
And then he's like,
he
he's talking
has
through their
really
whole entrance,
weird
like,
phrasing sometimes. Like, did he actually say blow that pyro off?
yeah, he said blow the pyro off. He also said, "Yeah, man, we sit around and drink beers, just wearing tank tops at Morton Steakhouse together. I love these guys."
Just
and
like,
he's
dude,
just like
dude guy stuff, like body guy stuff. I love when he was doing the
I can't believe he actually said that. What you just said.
He did say that.
He's
like, we sit around drinking whey
Gabe.
protein powder. He not to jump ahead to Dynamite, but on Fyter Fest, talking about Mox, he was like, if you would come here, Mox, you know you would have been tested regularly because we don't run a sloppy shop. Who says sloppy shop?
Yeah, his phrasing, it's so funny.
It's like he sort of remembers what he's supposed to say, but he's like sloppy ship or something like that, but he says sloppy shop.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
like almost there.
Yeah, Fyter Fest this week, I like, for how I liked Fyter Fest, but for how good Dynamite has been over the last 2 weeks, from top to bottom, I actually think I liked last week's episode more than this week's episode of Dynamite. Well, Fyter Fest, whatever you want to call it.
Which in the Dynamite world is like a solid B+.
Still good, yeah. I still really enjoyed it. Just like, and it really started off with a bang. Oh my god, dude! Usually while Siobhan and I are always in the same room when I'm watching wrestling, because we have like one big TV in the living room, and both of us are like working on the big like dinner table that we have.
Yes.
And so she knows a lot of the people that are in AEW now.
Okay,
and
who does she like?
Who
are her favorites? Who does she not like?
Her absolute, her absolute favorite is Tony Schiavone. I will say.
What? Because of his cool head, or because he's cool, because of his cool tones, or she likes his aren't they fucking relationship with Britt Baker?
No, well, because he was like I think just because he seems like such a genuinely super nice dude. Like she noticed him at when we went to Dynamite in Kansas City in February,
yeah,
and he sent someone had a Tony Schiavone sign next to us, like for Tony, and Tony Schiavone noticed it, and he sent a PA over to that guy. The guy asked him for the sign, and we had thought the guy's sign got taken away, and then the guy came back and was like, "Hey, Tony saw your sign and he wanted to sign this for you." And then he was just like, and he wants to know if you want a picture with him.
Oh my god!
And then like they
sweetie.
went over and they took a picture together, and then the guys came. They were two like huge dudes too, like really big, like maybe like 40-year-old.
They got signs like, "Hey,
bald dudes.
We love Tony."
yeah. Keep
basically. Calling it Tony. You know those move names.
But like, I think that moment, like seeing how genuine, and then just like, and that night was the night that gave us that great moment between Tony Schiavone and Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends, where Tony Schiavone is doing the Orange Cassidy thumbs up with the Orange Cassidy sunglasses on.
Yes. Siobhan liked
but
that.
Anyways,
because you can't hear the commentary when you're at the live show, so she didn't like his calls
that.
or
and then just from watching it, I think just likes seeing him in that. But
I love that.
Then Jericho came out and what did I? Oh, I wrote down what you said. I like Jericho. He's very Don Cherry in that suit.
Yes, that was definitely a nod.
Yeah, totally. And like that's mentioned later. And I was like, Siobhan, they just mentioned that was a reference to Don Cherry. Well, I only know who that is because of Siobhan, because you're both Canadian. But yeah, I will say like that probably Tony Schiavone and Jericho are the two that I think like get pointed out the most by Siobhan.
That's hilarious.
Like,
now, who does she not like? Because I know there's
Matt Hardy. She fucking hates him. Like,
which version?
I think all. She's like, oh, there's that guy with the hair again. I don't like him. Yeah, Jungle Boy is one of our other favorites. Yeah, it's funny. It's interesting just having someone that's familiar with wrestling, the wrestlers, but then has no interest in actually like goes to the shows and like talks to me about wrestling, but has no interest in actually like becoming a wrestling fan because she's just not into like sports really. But yeah, she's Jungle Boy is someone that she constantly points to, and I think because she loves movies in films, likes that that's like Luke Perry's son. He's out there fighting his heart out. And that match was my favorite match of the night. MJF and Wardlow versus Jurassic Express.
AKA,
one of my favorite matches of the year.
AKA MJF and Wardlow versus Dino Douche and Jungle Jabroni, according to MJF, which I love.
Is that what he called them?
He called them Dino
MJF
Douche and Jungle Jabroni, yeah.
Pointing out the ratings war, too. That was cool. Like, his promo at the start was really great.
I mean, MJF is just... He's like Jericho or Cody. It's just like, give him a mic, basically.
Well, and I think that's like the thing with AEW, too. It's like, it feels like he could say anything he wants. There's even if that was approved to be said, and I'm sure it was because it was on TNT, you just feel like with the way, the energy that they've set up with everyone... You know that everyone is like pitching their own ideas. We know that as a fact. So it kind of feels like their promos really feel very real. And yeah, just the chemistry between the four of them is insane. It's cool to see like Wardlow and Luchasaurus had such a sick lumberjack match last week. That was just an insane spot fest. And Jungle Boy and MJF had that great, like just straight wrestling match at, Double or Nothing.
Yeah, one of the matches of the night. Of a very strong night.
Yeah, and then they come together. Yeah, on the night that Stadium Stampede happened. They come together, and it was just cool to see the history that they're building. Like, there's these meaningful feuds that have happened outside of this tag match, and then these people come together that are solid tag teams, and then, create this insane match with
it's
just
funny
so
because it's usually the opposite
spots.
It's usually like two people are going to have a singles match, two separate singles match, so they throw them together before like a pay-per-view and just give on like the
in a meaningless way.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Totally. Yeah, it's like you guys are feuding together, we need to fill time and you need to be featured on the show, so let's put you all in a tag match together, whatever.
Yeah, but
yeah, with this it's like it feels like we'll see Jungle Boy and MJF in an AEW title feud in the future.
Totally.
Potentially, I hadn't thought about this, but this is jumping over Sheeta and P Ford for a second, but Cody versus Hager, do you think, what if MJF takes the title off of Cody?
I think that makes perfect sense. I
hadn't really considered it. Who do you think takes it off of him? I think that's would be a great, just for MJF to building his heel character. He gets that title and then just constantly makes fun of Cody that he has the only title that Cody can win. I
mean, yeah, that would be great booking. I can't think of anyone I'd rather take it off Cody, to be honest. And yeah. I just love how AEW always has like several feuds going on between each wrestler. Like Cody's kind of part of the elite that's feuding with like Jericho and them, although he's kind of almost like a tertiary part, like he's not there all the time. And like somebody said, seems like he might be starting a faction with Hangman and FTR.
Oh yeah, I suggested that, which I think would be sick. Just like a week ago, FTR was like chastising Hangman, telling him to get it together. This week, the positioning of like all of them together, like it just seems...
And they're all just kind of like classic wrestlers. They're not like spot fests or anything like that.
Yeah, you could drop them into like a late 80s promotion...
NWA card, and they would be perfect. Yeah.
What did you think of Cody versus Hager?
I thought it was fine. I thought it was a good match. I liked that Jericho said about Arn Anderson that he has the heart of a dragon inside of him. But I have almost no notes from this match, other than just on the ending, which it feels like, and we've been saying it a lot, most of Cody's matches have been overbooked.
Can't he just have a match where it's just wrestling? I know he's doing that with the TNT. He's doing that with the TNT matches weekly, I guess, right? Like the Ricky Starks match was just the wrestling match.
I think the Jungle Boy won as well, but then he did a lot of blading on that.
Yes, which that's
fine.
Whatever.
It's been more like his match.
The outside interference.
Yes,
stuff
with the match with Archer, Arn interfering. Arn again, like, distracted, I think, the ref or Hager at one point.
Unprompted, yeah, at that moment.
Yeah.
And then I felt like in this match, too, Arn is yelling ringside in the way that, like, maybe this is Cody's slow transition into a heel. That was the thought that I had. It's like, I'm still viewing Cody as, like, a face. He has Arn Anderson by his side. The Nightmare family, 30 to 40 members, bigger than the Dark Order. All of them seem to be faces. So, like, I don't know, just not that everything needs to be so cut and dry. Like, that's a good guy, that's a bad guy. But, like, yeah, just, I don't know. I love Cody's matches. I just don't love all the outside interference. Same thing his the first TNT title match with Archer, like you said. And I might have mentioned this in another podcast, but yeah, just like going back to like his episode or his match with Ibushi at Wrestle Kingdom. That was the first match. That match sold me on Cody as a fan. Like, I was like, oh, I have liked Cody. Now I love Cody. Like, I love Cody. And I think that was in the wake of might have been in the wake of his match against Dalton Castle, where he first dyed his hair blonde, which I also really liked. And then that kind of like solidified like him as a performer for me. I think there might be a year between those things, but those two moments at least were moments where I was like, wow, I love this guy. I love his matches. I like that within these cards that are heavy spot fests that like Ospreay and the Bucks were on, and Hangman's jumping out doing moonsaults off of balconies in Hammerstein Ballroom. You have Cody who's working these slow psychological plotting matches, and like that match with Dalton Castle had blood in it in Ring of Honor, but not a lot of. Brandy was the only outside interference, and I feel like that to me is like
Brandy was the only outside interference.
Yeah, in that match. Someone might correct me. This was 3 years ago, I think, or 2 years ago. But
I just mean to say we're talking about how there's always interference on his side, and you're saying, oh, the only one who interfered was like his wife.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, but see that in those spots though, like that was like when Cody was working as a heel, and him and Brandy would do these great. Right. I don't think he's done this in AEW. He definitely hasn't. But there's been a lot of great moments where like him and Brandy will do like push-ups ringside or jumping jacks and kind of go back and forth and do these, I don't know, really like solid heel tactics that feel more a part of the match and less distracting than much of what happens in Cody's matches.
Right. Well, I've said it before, but I really feel like your white meat baby faces as champions has an expiration date on like how long that's going to be cool. So I think it is smart to start to build an eventual heel turn for Cody. Although probably has to happen after he fights MJF and loses the title. If we did in fact want MJF to take the title off of him, because MJF is obviously going to be the detestable heel in that case. But
maybe he does a Rock transition and becomes like a babyface. MJF does like a Rock like transition where he is a heel that people love.
I can't see it. He's just too detestable.
I can see it.
Well, considering everything that we talk about on this podcast comes true.
Maybe it will. Shida versus Penelope Ford. Great title match. Just solid spots throughout it. And let's like Shida bring in that Jon Moxley energy. You pointed that out when she was brawling with Penelope ringside. And since then, I've definitely latched on to the comparison.
Well, it was just the way that she like got the quick win on the jobber, just got the Falcon Arrow in, and then just ran out of the ring and just started brawling with Penelope, and then decking out Kip Sabian with a punch. Here,
excellent booking.
She goes for that quick win again. Like she goes right up for the knee and the Falcon Arrow. She doesn't get the Falcon Arrow obviously at the beginning, but it almost seemed like that might happen. I was thinking, oh my god, is she gonna squash Penelope?
I thought that was going to happen too. Yeah, like right when she went up for that. And I like that throughout the match a couple times she went for that. I feel like that's a very New Japan, obviously maybe just Puro Reso, like Japan style of wrestling. That kind of like the like tease of the finisher is not something that I feel like we see a lot in like in most wrestling promotions, except at least in my own personal viewing in New Japan is where I see that most, where it's like you get these teases of a finisher, people are going for it. And I like that psychologically, like it just makes it, I feel like it makes the match, it makes it seem more like a fight where it's like, oh, okay. And it makes the finishers seem like they mean more. Like, okay, if I get the finisher and I hit this finisher, I'll win and I'll retain my title. And if I can hit that sooner.
That's the feeling all the time. It's like, why don't they just do their finishers like right at the beginning? But you have to, that's why I like finishers that take a little bit of maneuvering, because it makes it more realistic that they wouldn't just why wouldn't you just go for the DDT like right away if you could do a DDT?
Well,
Like, but I love the idea of like putting Kenny putting them up for the one-winged angel, which requires like sort of a manipulation that you could only do when someone was really exhausted,
like fatigued.
Yeah.
Their spirit meter needs to be down, and you need to throw down some taunts
diggity dog. Socko.
Before you can throw that down. But yeah, that match was great. I'm glad Shida retained. I hope that Shida goes on like a super long dominant reign.
Yes. There was one
with the title
moment that I loved where Shida went for a drop kick off the top ropes and Penelope like did like a matrix bend to avoid it.
Oh, I love when she does stuff like that. Yeah.
That was super cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, just in terms of Shida, I just wanted to say like I know Vince McMahon a lot of times didn't want to push, you know, wrestlers who didn't speak English or who didn't have a great grasp of English. So it's really cool seeing Shida sort of running this division as she's sort of learning English. And because they actually mention it on commentary. They're like, Shida's still learning English and stuff, and that's cool to see. But I think giving her that kind of Moxley energy is a good way to kind of broaden her character a little bit more and like give us something more to connect to other than her dressing like a badass and being a badass wrestler and having a badass wrestling theme, which is a very good basis.
Almost yeah. Well, just booking that intensity, like you're drawn to her intensity, and it's really cool to see. Interested to see. Like I don't imagine Britt Baker taking it off her anytime soon. I mean, I know Britt Baker's hurt, but even if she wasn't hurt, like it just seems like Britt Baker is, in my mind, the only other person right now, maybe in the women's division, that's been booked in a way, or that's been featured heavily in a way that she would chase the title if she was not injured.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, when she comes back, it's like it's gonna be big.
Dude, and the Fyter Fest closed out with 2 different tag matches. I thought that was an interesting way to stagger the event. It seems like
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, like Proud and Powerful versus Private Party. Cool that they all came from the same wrestling school. Was mentioned that Proud and Powerful, Santana and Ortiz were like the seniors, as Private Party were coming in as new recruits, and you could see them working really well together. That's
a good point.
They all brought a lot of intensity, a lot of big seamless moves that just flowed through the whole match in a really cool way. And to your point, both of these teams should have a second title shot before the Natural Nightmares have a title shot.
Private Party, they're doing a slow build on them. They're sort of slowly building a faction with Matt Hardy. I think Sammy Guevara was also going to be part of that before he was suspended. This was probably my second favorite match of the night. Actually, it was definitely my second favorite match of the night. There was a tornado over the top rope from Isaiah where he just spinned around that I had never seen.
That was before. Crazy. Yeah. Bandito. The only other person I've seen do that is Bandito, Ring of Honor wrestler. And yeah, it's very, very, very sick move. He did quite a few moves where I was like, damn, I'm not really see many people do that. There was like a really huge avalanche lager bomb in that match too. That was like so huge and so cool. And yeah, just a fun exhibition tag match between the two of them that now they'll go on to challenge next week, right? The winners.
Yeah. That I think was booked because Moxley and
Cage has to be 2 weeks because of COVID.
That's right. Yeah. If it happens at all, it's just there has to be that 2 week period where you figure out if Moxley actually has COVID, because there can be negative tests, and within 2 weeks, like they'll know for certain. So yes, it will be Private Party versus Hangman and Kenny. I honestly thought that the Best Friends were going to take it off the champs tonight.
I was going into that with so much hope. I wanted to see Best Friends with the tag titles, and just like they got like a WrestleMania style entrance. Trent's mom,
out of all of the driving 2 meters to the guardrail and then stopping entrances that have happened over the past couple of weeks in AEW, this is 100% the best one.
Yeah, by a far margin. Totally.
Trent's mom drops them off in a minivan. They get out mean mugging it, just both of them mean mugging it. Then Trent's mom is like, Trent, I want to give you a kiss. And then he's still mean mugging it as his mom gives him a kiss. But then when she kisses him, he starts to smile and then goes back to mean mugging it. Like he can't keep that thing. It's actually Trent's mom. I saw a picture of them right before the spot, the three of them. It was the most adorable thing.
Did you see Chucky T on Twitter posted a text from his mom?
No. What did it say?
And his mom texted him after the match and said, "What the fuck? I can drive!" With exclamation points.
I imagine just Trent had the idea, and so he had the ownership over it.
Yeah, probably. Well, I don't remember enough to really expand on this, apart from the fact that I'm pretty sure one of their moms was incorporated into a New Japan angle where they were feuding with each other. Trent and Chucky T were like fighting with each other. It might have been, I don't know if it's at Korakuen, where it happened, but it was one of the venues that has a lot of bleachers, and Kevin Kelly kept mentioning one of their moms was up in the bleachers.
Maybe that was Chucky T's mom, and then they had to kind of give the parody.
Back and forth.
Yeah. That seems fair to me.
But yeah, this match should have been... I wanted Best Friends to win, and I feel like that's what would have made this feel more like a big pay-per-view,
yes.
like Fyter Fest pay-per-view. Like we get crowning of new tag champs with the Best Friends, and then they come along with Orange Cassidy next week with his big match. Cassidy is flanked with the new tag champs.
Yeah.
And Jericho's, Hager's been suspended for punching the ref, so he can't be ringside. Sammy is suspended, so Jericho kind of would be outnumbered in that respect also.
Yeah. It seems like Best Friends and Orange Cassidy have the most crossover appeal.
Yes, absolutely. They totally do. Yeah.
Just bring people over into wrestling who maybe don't watch it. Like Orange Cassidy, he was on the front page of Reddit, like we mentioned before.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching the match, and it felt like I think if I wasn't viewing it through This Is Fyter Fest, I would have really, really liked this match. But because I was viewing it through Fyter Fest, I was like, oh, this is going to be a big moment for Best Friends. But then it turns out that Kenny and Hangman retain. They're going to retain. I don't think they're if Best Friends didn't win it this week, they're not going to lose it next week. Private Party won that match, right? Is that who's fighting Hangman and...
Yes, Private Party did.
Best Friends.
Although I think that might be an interesting moment if they did win. It would be a huge win for Private Party, who have been slowly being built. And also, Matt Hardy is managing Private Party, and Matt Hardy is, involved with the Elite, so that might cause an interesting fracture and give, again, another moment for a reason for Hangman and Kenny to break up, which seems like it's on the horizon. Now that FTR is looming over Hangman's matches, it's only a matter of time before they break up. So having Matt Hardy be part of that split might be interesting.
That upset might be interesting as well. Just thinking about going back to the initial tag team tournament, the first match, Private Party won. They beat the Bucks.
Right.
So just in terms of long-term story implications with surprise upsets, it would be they have proved, Private Party has proved once so far that they, in big matches, can pull out a win if they have to.
Totally.
Despite maybe not being booked that strong and maybe not getting a lot of matches. Maybe that's what will happen. That would be cool too.
I would love to see
really
Private Party
see
with
Best
the
Friends with titles. Yes, I think that would be the next best thing. There's just too many tag teams right now for us two singles competitors who are justifiably a good tag team together to continue to hold it. Kenny should be...
Right, they got to get those belts on Librarian and Brandon Cutler.
Please,
a true tag team in John's eyes.
Exactly.
So yeah, Fyter Fest Night 2, we're looking forward to it. Looks like a pretty stacked night. Looks like the main event is going to be Jericho Cassidy.
Yeah, it should be good. I'm really excited for it. Can't wait to see that match. I think Orange Cassidy pulls out a win.
So we have watched New Japan Cup Nights 5 and 6, aka the quarterfinals of the New Japan Cup. So after this, we know who is going to be the final eight going into the semifinals.
Yes, because 4 matches, so 8 people. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, the first match was an absolute banger from night 5.
Taiji Ishimori versus Yoshinobu Kanemaru. I gave this a B. It was my least favorite. You gave it an A. Can you explain to me why you thought this match was so good?
So that match to me is like a good example of why everything converges in New Japan to just create this like perfect moment of professional wrestling. Ishimori and Kanemaru have a big history together. Kevin Kelly talks about this on the commentary. Kanemaru's beat Ishimori like 11 times in Pro Wrestling Noah. And in New Japan, Kanemaru defeated Ishimori twice. So like the deck is absolutely stacked against Ishimori. And you have this convergence also of 2 heels going against each other, but that doesn't matter. Like, and I think that that's such a cool thing in New Japan where it's like you get these moments. Like I mentioned to you, one of my favorite matches from the 2018 G1 was Naito versus Tama Tonga, and in that's not a notable match. But from my perspective as a viewer, LIJ was the only faction that was prepared for Bullet Club. So the first clean 3-count win was Naito on Tama Tonga because LIJ was there to deflect all of the Bullet Club people interfering. And here, Kanemaru is trying to do his heel tactics, like this Centauri Surprise, where he spits whiskey in his opponent's faces. Yeah. But Ishimori knows that that's coming because they've wrestled so much and because he's a heel too. So they have the same psychological mindset for a match. So you have and then you have Ishimori, who's like slightly smaller and fast. So he's like the scrappy underdog versus this person who's been dominating him across wrestling promotions.
Right. He's never beaten Kanemaru ever, right?
Right. And Kanemaru has the upper hand, like, for a lot of the match in classic, like, heel New Japan fashion. It's like throwing him around. And then it turns, though, because Kanemaru has the upper hand. Ishimori is staggered, goes for the Centauri Surprise, but then Ishimori covers his mouth, pins him down, and makes him drink all of that whiskey. To which Kevin Kelly then is like, that's like, would be a lot of whiskey. He just drank a lot of that whiskey, and he just had to drink all of it, and he's in a match.
He looks fucked up right afterward.
Yeah, and then just like right after that, Ishimori hits a double knee to Kanemaru's face, and like, and then it just keeps building and building, and then there's this incredible string of fast-paced moves from Ishimori with a jumping knee strike followed by a tombstone double knee, but then Kanemaru kicks out of that. But then Ishimori hits the Bloody Cross for the 3 count, and he wins and finally beats Kanemaru. After all of these years of wrestling each other, there's this big moment in the New Japan Cup. Ishimori typically doesn't get these big single spots, these featured moments like this.
Right.
And then he finally did. He did get this featured moment, and he won, and now gets to go on to face Okada, right? So now he's going to have him and Okada are going to put on it. That match is going to be fucking insane.
I cannot.
So yeah, I don't know that match was my favorite match. One of my favorite matches of both night 5 and night 6. Favorite quarterfinal match, I would say.
I think I'm going to go back and watch it. You've made me want to watch it again.
I think it's the thing with New Japan is like with a lot of like WWE, it's a cliche at this point that commentary doesn't really matter. Like you don't need to listen to it. Like it doesn't add a lot to the match. Occasionally we'll add some things. But with New Japan, I feel like you do have to listen to like everything that is said, and then really think about its implications on the match.
Right.
Makes you think a lot more, I feel like, in a way that
it is more intellectual for sure.
So much as a fan. Yeah. Dude, the second match of that night, though, had to be one of your favorites, I would say.
I think it was my favorite of the tournament. I can't think of one I liked more offhand.
Makabe versus Ishii.
The Unchained Gorilla versus the Stone Pitbull. It starts off with just a battle of the forearm blow from Makabe versus the chop from Ishii. Just the stiffest forearms and chops you're going to see. Ishii slaps Makabe in the solar plexus until he collapses in the corner, and then just still keeps slapping him. Absolutely no mercy.
Just 2 big beef mountains.
Oh my god.
Taking it to the limit in this like Battle of the Hosses.
Battle of the Hosses.
So good.
I wrote down that Makabe's ears have seen some shit. He's got the cauliflower.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like it just keeps going. Ishii German suplexes Makabe's neck into the turnbuckle. Like,
oh, that was brutal. Yeah.
Togi looks like he's really hurt. Like he is really favoring his neck. Ishii has Togi on his knees facing the turnbuckle and is just viciously striking his shoulders and neck with kicks. Back suplex on Makabe. He keeps favoring the back of his neck. Either it was a botch or he is selling the shit out of it.
I think probably that. Yeah, because the both of them are so like. I mean, I do think have been quite a few instances in Ishii matches where strong style becomes too real. That kind of sounds like a good bit for a YouTube show. But there was a match with Kenta where Kenta clearly is concussed from last year with Ishii.
Yes.
So I think like a lot of these guys that go hard on each other, that does kind of take a turn for the worse sometimes. But I also think that conversely, these are just two master wrestlers, master workers, and it could just all be, part of the match.
Yeah. It's so evenly matched, just such a brutal back and forth. They go for clotheslines to each other. They both block each other's clotheslines. And then Togi hits Ishii with a huge lariat. They clothesline each other 3 times again. Ishii goes down. Togi falls to his knees. He can't capitalize on it. Makabe powerbomb for 2. Togi has Ishii on the turnbuckle. Goes for the German. Ishii elbows him. Repositions. Headbutts Makabe, who seems to go down, but then basically skins the cat, comes back up, and belly-to-belly suplexes Ishii onto the mat. It was my favorite sequence of the whole match.
That oh my god, yeah. Oh, dude, the moment where is that at the end of that, is that the moment where like Ishii kind of like gets up?
Yes.
And Kevin Kelly screams that he looks like a zombie?
Yes.
And he does. It looks like Night of the Living Dead. This man just was killed as a corpse raising from the dead. Like,
and just hits him with a clothesline.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
That too is like another just I don't know, man. Yeah, New Japan is so good. Like moments like that where it's like
there was a bunch of it in this match too. It was just like
so many great sequences. Yeah, there's like Makabe threw down like a powerbomb on Ishii at one point where it just feels like, I know, he's like harnessing all of like the energy of the earth and just like slams him down so hard. And they're both such big guys that like
I loved
it's so fun to watch.
On Reddit, I had sent it to you, but there was a picture of Sho versus Takagi, and Sho was at first it was just like a normal kind of, I can't remember what they call those drawings, but it was just kind of a normal drawing of the two, and then another frame of animation hit, and it shows that Shingo is actually a dragon and has like a tail. And Sho has got like his shock arrow, and he's like has all electricity all over him. It would be so cool to get like a New Japan, like you had said, kind of versus like Mortal Kombat, but just kind of like a New Japan fighting game where Togi Makabe can summon up all the energy all around him and like hit Ishii for like a huge power bomb, and like he is like a gorilla at a moment. I think that would be.
Dude, yeah, I want like Capcom versus New Japan.
Yes. I want like a WrestleMania the arcade game with like Undertaker like hitting people with tombstones.
Very sick.
But like way sicker.
Like crazy animations, like Marvel versus Capcom, where it's like Shingo's like special, like a thunderstorm comes on screen.
Right.
A dragon comes out of the clouds, breathes fire on the other person.
Yes.
And it like mostly deflates their health bar.
But with like more grapple moves.
Yes. Yeah, like not just punches and kicks, like suplexes and torture racks.
Someone hire us to executive direct this game.
I mean, it seems like a lot of people would buy that game. I certainly would. But yeah, this match was insane. Ishii hits the vertical drop brainbuster for the 3 count and wins.
Wow, is what I put.
Yeah, insane.
This is the first match, I think, since maybe the Suzuki Nagata match to make the A archive from this
That's
tournament.
Not surprising to me.
Yeah.
That was such a good match.
Then we had a 6-man tag: Ibushi, Tanahashi, Taguchi. Big match, Taguchi versus I call him Dookie. What's his actual name? Is it Doki?
Doki.
Doki Doki Panic, Taichi, and ZSJ. Kota storms right to the ring and immediately starts to attack Suzuki Gun. Like, does not savor his entrance whatsoever. Loved that.
I love when they do that. Yeah, like when like a face team comes out and gets to jump on the heels, who typically would do that. Kevin Kelly continues to pull no punches with Taichi and continues to say that he's a despicable person. Like, does not like him.
Not the only person that I've seen use heel tactics, although probably has used the most heel tactics in this tournament.
Yes,
definitely.
I'd agree with that.
But I love how there was a callback to an earlier New Japan 6-man tag from earlier in the tournament, because Zack Sabre Jr. continued to corkscrew the leg of Tanahashi while someone else was holding him. We said this last week or the week before, but I love when Suzuki-gun does that, like multiple people doing a grapple while someone like kicks them, or like, you know, it's like these are like the cohorts of Minoru Suzuki. There's going to be a great blow-off match between Sabre and Tanahashi, and I can't wait to see that.
Yes, they've feuded quite a lot. Like last year, they had a great match at the Rev Pro Showcase WrestleMania weekend, where the Rev Pro tag champs Minoru Suzuki and ZSJ faced off against Tanahashi and Will Ospreay.
Nice.
It's a very sick match.
I still haven't watched the Ospreay versus ZSJ Rev Pro title match.
Oh, that match was really good.
Yeah, I need to watch that. But yeah, this was a sick match.
Yeah, cool mix of people going at it.
Taichi is on the apron stepping on Tana's head while ZSJ stands on his knee. ZSJ's just stomping him mercilessly. Love it.
Yeah. Overall, I feel like this match to me felt the most transitional. Like, we have these guys here, we need to throw on a tag match. Like, I like that there was like callbacks to other moments, but not a lot of big implications. Excuse me, for the tournament, with the exception of setting up Taichi and Ibushi. Yeah. Which is what we will get in the final 8. And big match Taguchi gets the W here. Have you seen the Way to the Grandmaster promos yet?
No, I don't know what that is.
I was wondering, because I know like sometimes we'll skip through the like commercial sort of intermission thing.
Honestly, just on night 6, just because I watched the last couple of matches this morning, I skipped even the 6-man tag on night 6. Ah, okay. Which I'll do.
So you won't have an opinion on this, I don't think. But there's I don't either. So this
neither of us has an opinion. So I'm just gonna lay some shit out right now.
This will clearly go nowhere. There's been a promo called hyping someone called the Grandmaster, called Way, and it keeps saying Way to the Grandmaster, and then shows like a field with someone running that's hyping up a surprise of some kind. And I'm interested to know who it is. Rusev. And I have no idea who it could be.
It's Akira.
Yeah, that was the only thought that I had.
It's really. Akira Tozawa and his ninja gang.
His gang of ninjas.
Because Vince McMahon is hopelessly racist.
Yeah, I don't know. Then we got Comedy Gold.
I'm gonna let you take this Hiromu. One because you think it's Comedy Gold, and I'm just kind of.
Did you wait? You didn't like it?
I liked it more than you did, probably, but still, I didn't think it was Comedy Gold.
Why not?
I don't know. I find my enjoyment of Takahashi has been severely hampered by this. Like, what? I don't know. I just thought he was the coolest. I wanted him to win the tournament. I thought he was just the absolute coolest, and he just looks like a fool in this tournament. I know, like, New Japan is different, and I know I'm missing something clearly, but I don't know.
It's just a fun and funny storyline. I don't know, like, not every, like, it's tied to, you know, Hiromu being a young lion and getting fucked up by Yano, having his hair cut, and a lot of times Yano is utilized in a way to give the wrestlers breaks. Like, I can imagine, like, in my mind, that's the best explanation of Yano is, one, the New Japan fans love Yano. So I think he plays well with a crowd there, plays off of a crowd really well. But then secondly, it's like, yeah, it just gives Hiromu doesn't have to do the crazy Super Junior bangers he's been putting on, he over the last year. And there's probably not a lot of moments that are going to bring the two of them together in singles competition ever. Like, I feel like
I have no intellectual problem with this match whatsoever.
Oh, like the justification of the match? You just didn't like... I like that Yano placed like scissors everywhere, and like that felt dangerous to me also. He threw scissors across the room, and that was fun. I don't know, that was funny to me.
A lot of stuff with clippers and stuff. It was fun. Takahashi just seemed so cool, and now he just seems kind of like I don't know.
He'll seem cool again. No, he'll seem cool again.
I know.
Like I think it'll take one match to be like, dude, did you see that 5-star match you just had?
No, you're absolutely right. I'm just giving you my gut feeling.
That's fine.
Straight from the gut.
So the one thing that when I was watching where I was like, Mark is going to hate this, was he puts Yano in the elevator and then the ref starts counting. But the ref wasn't counting until then. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did notice that, yep.
I know they sometimes delay the count. They delay the count because they don't want to have to end in a draw for big tournaments like this and for big decisions. But it did seem weird that the count started as soon as the elevator door closed.
That was weird. The reason I didn't mind it is because it kind of justified the ending of the 6-man tag from a couple nights back where Yano ties up Hiromu.
Oh, yeah.
And then he gets counted out. And I was like, why would someone do that? Why wouldn't they try to at least win the match? But that match had no consequence. So then Hiromu did the same thing, put him in the elevator, but then actually went back and won the match. So at least I understood that. And I was like, okay, well, that's a nice callback.
I feel like you and Kevin Kelly are at the same place because his last note on this match was, out of all of the things I have seen, that is one of them.
I did notice that. That is such a good line. Yeah. All this stuff is skippable to me. I feel like there's actually a good story making Yano kind of scary to somebody because he's such a comedy character and actually having a little bit more psychological realism instead of Hiromu just getting on all fours, barking like a dog, basically. But I also understand that I prefer this 100% to the Viking Raiders fighting ninjas and playing basketball.
Well, and like I could see, like, I don't know, it's not like I'm trying to convince you to like that match in the way that, like, I was very passionate and am very passionately into the Ishimori Kanemaru match, where I do feel like there maybe is something there that you might have missed.
Sure.
Whereas with this, I don't think you missed anything.
Right.
I completely agree. I think it's skippable. As an obsessive New Japan fan, I loved it and just didn't like that the convenience of the count. But then the night ends with the historical matchup of two former IWGP heavyweight champions, Okada versus Nagata, and like a great professional wrestling.
This was just awesome. I loved this.
It's really fun to watch. Yeah, I overall, like, there are some, because we take notes for this podcast to remember different things we want to talk about. This is one of the matches where I just kind of watched it because it was fun to just see this historical sort of moment where it's not necessarily like a 5-star work rate classic, but it's this important match between two people with so much history. And Kevin Kelly's telling you all of these important moments. They both won the New Japan Cup. They're both former IWGP champions. It's just such a great psychological fight.
I also just love Okada matches. I love that there was no chance that Nagata was going to win this match. I think I'm pretty safe in saying that.
No.
Absolutely no chance. But when you're watching it, it feels like he could. Like, Okada is another person.
Seems like maybe he's going to lose.
Yeah, Okada's another person who puts people over by making them very competitive in their matches. His idea of being a champion, he knows he's going to keep winning these matches. He knows he's going to be the champion for the longest time. He doesn't need to pummel anyone in like 5 minutes or anything, or like a 2-minute squash like Lance Archer. He can have these long matches that go back and forth where he's vulnerable for a lot of it, still looks super strong. And like in his victories, like he's just the guy who ends up winning. He's not the guy who necessarily dominates the match the entire time. He can go the distance. He has the stamina. He has the wherewithal to still be in great shape at the end of the match and still be fast and strong. And so
he seems like a pure athlete.
Yes.
Like an actual, and he is, but like in professional wrestling, he seems the most, I think maybe in the whole history of wrestling, I know that's a huge statement to make, but like
maybe the most well-rounded athlete.
Yes. Like seems like someone that could compete in like the Olympics or something like that.
Yes.
Like just like
with Mario.
And I mean, I know there are like Jeff Cobb has competed with good callback. Yeah, totally. And this match, yeah, really, really fun to watch. Okada ultimately wins. And I love your point about him being able to make people look strong. He can look vulnerable, but then come out looking like the dominant Rainmaker badass that he is. You know, he can look vulnerable for like a whole match, but then the second he throws down that drop kick, you know it's on, and you know he's coming back. Like
and then he can stand there looking strong, being like, I outlasted you. Like I out-thought you. I out-staminaed you. I out-wrestled you. Like you may have been in control or thought you were in control, but I still, like it's a game of chess. Like he always ends up on top for the most part.
That's such a good way to put it too. Yeah, like the way I don't know. Yeah, it is like a puzzle. Like the way he kind of like gets how he ends up hitting the Rainmaker, and getting the win out of nowhere sometimes. And with this match, I thought it was really cool that he won with an old school sort of like, you know, the path to winning was through a Cobra Clutch. Not something that I feel like in all the Okada matches I've seen, it's not something that I feel like he has done very much in terms of leading to a win. And just, with this being sort of like an old school, you know, fight, really worked well.
Totally. Then brings us to night 6, Bushi versus Yoshihashi. Not a match that I thought I was going to enjoy as much as I did, but I thought this was an awesome match. Bushi's entrance gear was incredible. Had this like black helmet with like a flashing red light in one of his eyes that he almost looked like Ant-Man, but it was all black and like with like these like spikes at the top, and he was wearing like a black skeleton suit coming out. It was
he looked really
sick
cool
outfit. He looked like if Darby Allin was in Daft Punk.
That's good. That's totally what it looked like. It's a good visual. Yoshihashi, though, in comparison, kind of comes out to no fanfare. Just walks out with his staff, and that's about it. But yeah, see, I felt the same way you did, where like I went in thinking this could be a good match, but I don't know if I'm going to care that much about it. And then it was like a really, really fun match to watch. Like Yoshihashi really brought it in this match.
You know what I would compare this to? Would be the Okada Suzuki match that I watched that you showed me, the one in the rain. Mm-hmm. It is an example of how circumstance can just change a wrestling match on the fly and give it more gravitas. So for the start of this match, it's pretty standard. Bushi's attacking Yoshihashi before the bell on the turnbuckle. Yoshihashi's laying in the forearms on Bushi in the corner, dropping to his knees. Yoshihashi gets kicked by Bushi when he's running towards him, and his knee bends back the wrong way. Kevin Kelly talks about it.
Oh,
it's
right.
Brutal.
Yeah,
it's
brutal.
really,
really brutal. Yes.
And from that moment on, this is a match about Yoshihashi and will that knee stand up for the rest of the match?
And will that be the downfall? Yeah. Does he overcome that injury to win this match? Or does Bushi capitalize? There's
this brutal moment like right after that where Yoshihashi's on the outside of the ring and Bushi hits him with a tope. I've never quite seen a tope land like this before. Usually the tope, they kind of land almost like in an ideal situation. If I was toping you right now, I'd want my arms to land on your shoulders.
Right.
And it would be sort of the upper body. In this case, Bushi's head drills Yoshihashi like right in the solar plexus, like on like a downward angle. like a fucking missile. Just like hits him. It looked so painful, and then Yoshihashi just staggers back into the barricade. I watched it like 4 times.
This match is what I thought brutal. Bushi versus Yo was going to be like.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And we both didn't really like that match very much. Whereas,
that's true.
Yeah, this match, quite a few big moments. I loved when Bushi went up for the MX.
Yes.
And then Yoshi throws a last ditch, just sort of like exhausted punch.
Crushing lariat.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, man. This match made a Yoshihashi fan out of me.
Yeah, just like that video Thomas sent us of his diehard fans. He tries so hard.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be a diehard fan, but I was like, he tries so fucking hard. Like, his knee, like, bent back, and he still hit him with that crazy lariat.
Yeah, I really liked this match way more than I thought I would.
I loved how the ref just absolutely never looks concerned. Like, I don't know who this ref is, but he just has the most... He's like he looks like a gym class teacher who has really given up. And
that sounds
so
like it could be Marty Asami. I think that might have been who the ref was for this. I can't remember off the top of my head.
So we already know Yoshihashi's hurt. After Bushi just like... There's no way he didn't like compress his neck a little bit by hitting Yoshihashi in the solar plexus with that tope. And the ref just comes over like kind of lackadaisically and is just like, you all right? You all right? You are? Okay, get in the fucking ring. Just like immediately gestures them to get back in the ring and just rolls in himself. I was like, man, they must tell them like, we're good, you know?
Yeah, we're fine. Leave us alone. The second match of the night, Sanada versus Sho.
Another awesome match. Another awesome fucking match. This was probably the best night.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
I'm very sorry. I was just going to say that this is probably the best night, like quality-wise.
And it's one that I like. If you look at the card, I would say that stack night, the other night that had Ibushi from last week, was a night that I thought would be the night. But yeah, this was a really, really strong night all the way through. And Sanada here Kevin Kelly emphasized how much Sanada is a loser at the start of this.
He also said that this was his tournament.
Yes,
like
he's
pushing him hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that he's bringing that up while also contrasting the sort of that he this is his tournament to win. He's the only person in LIJ without a title. They're really emphasizing the
stakes.
the stakes and LIJ holding all of the belts right now. It's that, and this match was really cool. We've mentioned this before, but Sho's music is so cool. One of my favorites.
He's got that super chiptune boss music.
Yes, very cool. And this match was great. There's a throughout it, another one that I kind of just enjoyed watching. And
agreed.
I started thinking about it. Like, imagine, I don't know. Yeah, it's just like interesting to see someone like Sho, who is like a tertiary tag team person, dominating in a singles match like this. It's really cool.
Well, also Sho is a light heavyweight, and is Sanada heavyweight?
Yes. And I think it might not have been mentioned in this match, but I know at some point Kevin Kelly talks about how this is like one of the few tournaments where we get those kind of matchups. Like the open weight belt is that also, but usually throughout the year, that's where the sort of super juniors and heavyweights fight each other, is the never belt. But
it leads to some really cool matchups here. I just noted, I only have like 2 notes. One of them was that Sanada's sitting on the apron outside the ring, and then Sho hits the ropes, hits him with a huge crusher drop kick, and Sanada just like flies off onto the ground.
Dude, yeah, that moment's sick.
But then Sanada gets his revenge later in the match because Sho is standing on the apron outside, and Sanada from like the bottom drop kicks onto the apron and hits Sho's knees, and then he just like falls down. And then my next note was just, New Japan is so fucking good. Like this, just the quality of these matches, they were all just B+, A-, B+, A-. I did skip the 6-man tag, Hiromu, Naito, Shingo versus Yoda.
I loved this match. Yeah, Yoda.
I'm gonna go back and watch it.
It's a good, like, just even the intro, like if you're wondering, like if you should go back and watch it because of what you said about Hiromu today, I think.
Yes,
like,
that's a great
just
point.
Even seeing their entrance, like Hiromu and Shingo both come out with their belts. Naito comes out. They're all standing at the entrance together, and all three of those people
3 men, 4 belts.
Look so cool. 5 belts. Shingo has 2 belts. Naito has 2 belts, and Hiromu has 1 belt.
I forgot that Shingo also had the
Never Trios. Yeah. And he's the Never Champion and Never Trios. But just seeing that visual is really cool. And then throughout it, I would say this match has the best tag cooperation between anybody. Like, it's like LIJ's version of Suzuki-gun throwing down group grapples on one person. They do these like quick tags back and forth where like they completely work over Yota Tsuji and just do these like very quick tags back and forth where they'll tag in, Shingo and Naito go back and forth, tagging in, tagging out. At the start of this match, Hiromu will be totally redeemed for you in that he starts yelling in Ishii's face and is like screaming at him, and it's like, oh yeah, Hiromu was afraid of Yano, but he's...
I know that we're at the start of a longer story that we're telling of like Takahashi going through the tournament. Probably not going to win, but I think it's going to make it at least to the final 4, if not the final 2.
Well, and I think just in terms of Hiromu is the ticking time bomb, and he sort of, he is like an artist in real life, and like, does a lot of like, I think it's just that kind of like contrast between being terrified of Yano, but then in the face of Ishii is like, I'm going to fuck you up in our match. I think It's just to sell how like volatile he is and how sort of like brave he really is despite his terror of Yano. But yeah, it's a great match. And then
I'm going to go back and watch it because you gave it an A, so it's probably going to make it into the A archive. So I'm going to have to go back and watch it.
Ultimately ends with Hiromu tapping Yota Tsuji with the full Boston Crab, which is also really cool just to throw back to that alone, where the Boston Crab is the finisher of the Young Lions. Hiromu was a Young Lion. He tapped a Young Lion with the Young Lion finisher. So very cool. Ibushi versus Taichi. I'm interested. What did you think of this?
Taichi should learn the words to that fucking song that he's singing, because he never once at any point looks like he is singing the song into the microphone. And I understand that it doesn't matter when he's like right up, like holding it close to his face, but the camera is like just next to him, like a side view of him with the microphone, and his lips are not moving, or they are, but like barely. And it's just, I hate it. I hate that so much. That's the biggest heel thing he does to me. It's just not singing that goddamn song.
As much as you hated that, what I loved about this match, we've been talking about Cody's overbooking and interference. This to me is a perfect example of how to use outside interference in like a really effective way. Ibushi brings Tana.
Yeah.
Kevin Kelly gets so excited to see Tana ringside, and Tana... It's so cool. Just at the start, he's like whooping ZSJ's ass at the side of the ring.
Yes.
Like
I loved all that stuff.
Great outside interference, and also building up tag title feud too, where Dangerous Techers, Taichi and ZSJ will take on the Golden Ace.
Oh,
Ibushi and
I didn't
Tanahashi.
know that was a tag team, Taichi and ZSJ. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What are they called again?
The Dangerous Techers.
I don't know what the fuck that means, but that's awesome.
I've never questioned it either. It sounds cool.
I don't question it anymore. All right, cool. I genuinely did not know who was going over here, though I did assume because Ibushi is the tag champ that Taichi was probably going to win and kind of continue his heel tactics. But yeah, the heel having heel tactics makes sense, like more so than Cody, who should be a dominant champion. But Taichi also looks strong as hell in this match, as well as cheating. And he always does. That's the point. It's like he doesn't even really need to cheat because he's really good.
Right. Yeah, but then he does, and then that's why he's winning. After this match, I think the winner of this tournament is either going to be Taichi or Sonata.
Is Taichi continuing to go on this tournament going to break your bracket at any point? Do you think he's going to does he fight Okada at some point?
I think he already broke my bracket. Ibushi was who I had winning that, I think.
Okay.
Let me double check. I got the bracket right here. Yeah, I had Ibushi winning that.
Send the bill to Taichi for breaking your bracket.
Yeah. But I just think I was thinking like for Dominion booking and long-term storytelling implications, Naito should not lose the double belts right now. And we talked about this. I mentioned this last week where it's like, well, if he's defending both belts, I don't think he's gonna lose them. And I don't think and maybe Sonata losing is fine too, because it's like, I'm the leader of this faction. You lost to me. Maybe you'll get a rematch in the future, but now you're just part of LIJ still. Fuck off to Sonata. I don't think that maybe that won't happen, and he'll just break off and be a single star. Conversely, I could definitely, after this match and the way Tai Chi was booked, very strong wrestling wise, as you pointed out, and secondly, all of the different heel tactics he's using too. So it's like, how do you overcome someone who has hundreds of gimmicks and ZSJ and is a good wrestler,
and a great singer,
and yeah, incredible pipes on that guy. But I could very much see a Tai Chi Naito title defense where Naito wins. And Tai Chi has had moments of, like, I think it makes total sense. I loved that this ended. He has not used, I think, the Iron Glove. What did you think of the Iron Glove before I say anything about it?
I thought it looked like the Power Glove from the
Nintendo Power
NES.
Glove? Yeah. He was gifted that from Itsuka, who was like this wild performer who retired at the beginning of 2019. He was the last performer in Japan that I feel like brought like old school wing FMW energy, where like he was booked as kind of like this like uncaged animal, where he used that Power Glove constantly. He bit people's heads.
You just called it a Power Glove.
That's what it is, I guess. Now he uses the Power Glove. He bites people. He runs through the crowd and terrifies fans. Like, he brought like a very horror.
Plays Duck Hunt
energy. Yeah. Gets a lot of inspiration from Double Dragon. But
Frank
anyways,
Savage and the Wizard.
Yeah, man, that movie is boring.
Yes, it is.
I wanted to like it more than I did. Yeah, he uses the Iron Glove from Itsuka, and Black Mephisto for the win. I wrote, holy fuck, Tai Chi wins for the 3 count. I loved this match and was completely lost in it. Like, I did not know who was going to win.
I put here,
Ibushi
genuinely don't know who's going over. Like, either one made sense to me. Like, Kota is just like the stalwart NJPW wrestler, and Tai Chi is like someone who could maybe use. I just love the idea of the brackets ending up with kind of people who haven't had those big wins versus people who have established wrestlers.
Yeah, like Ibushi is established as the top. He's one of the top NJPW stars.
Yeah, he would be in like the top 5.
Tai Chi is more of in a transitional place at this moment. Maybe sort of hovering around the same place as people like Shingo, ZSJ, not necessarily like the pillars of New Japan, but a big part of the promotion.
Yep.
Yeah, and so then Tai Chi is going to go on to fight Sonata, and that's why I don't know now who.
Oh, this is going to be the bracket breaker, truly.
Yeah. So, yeah, it'll be Tai Chi versus Sonata in the finals, and Evil. Who does Evil face?
Semifinals.
Evil versus Yoshihashi. Thanks to Evil's win against Goto. I imagine you really like this match also.
Yeah, this was one, like you said, that I just watched. I didn't take a lot of notes. I thought every match on this that I watched was really good. The only thing I noted was that it also had a ref being knocked out spot, and I don't know if I like ref spots like that in 2 back-to-back matches.
Oh, but to me, the way Kevin Kelly sold that, though, I was questioning whether or not that actually. Because did they do anything illegal after the ref got knocked out?
I can't remember, actually. Oh, you think it might have been a mistake?
Because the way Kevin Kelly talked about it, I mean, it's just a good way of selling it in a different way if this was planned. But the way Kevin Kelly talked about it, it seemed like it was a genuine accident.
Right. He was like, I don't know if that's what he meant to do or not.
Yeah. And like, oh, I hope the ref is okay. Because it didn't. And then I remember thinking at the time, okay, if this leads to like a weapon being used or some kind of outside interference, then that was intentional. But I don't think anything happened, no low blows or any sort of like sort of heel tactics like that.
I love both of these characters so much. Evil with his face paint and his ponytail, Goto, the samurai. I was happy for either of these people to go over. I'm glad that Evil won, though, because Goto has, what did we say? He's won 3 of these New Japan Cups?
Yeah, he has so many accolades. And just, I really want to see Evil versus Sonata, which this week will get us Evil versus Sonata. To be honest, through a lot of this match, too, like watching it, I was like reading and looking up a lot about like the never openweight belt, and just it's cool to see in this match Evil and Goto, like kind of just two people who are contenders for that belt, going at it. And yeah, I don't know, just overall really, really enjoyed it. Huge Death Valley driver towards the end of the match, huge clothesline, another match where it's like two big ass dudes just going hard. Yeah.
Yeah, another great night. This was a fantastic quarterfinals. I genuinely cannot wait to see the rest of the matches in this tournament.
Ishii versus Hiromu. Who you have in that?
Ishii versus Hiromu. Hiromu.
I have Hiromu also. Okada versus Ishimori.
Okada.
Yeah, I have Okada. Taichi versus Sonata. This is the wild card match, I will say. I don't know. I have Sonata.
Skip that one and go to the next one.
Well, I think I know the winner of this. I'll be surprised if it's Evil versus Yoshihashi.
Okay, so Evil. Okay, then I will probably take Sonata.
I feel like it's going to be Sonata, just in terms of cementing that descent from LIJ and building towards him breaking off and on his own.
So the finals are happening now? The semifinals.
The semifinals have happened. Yeah, that's because they were on July 3rd, which is the date we're recording this, July 3rd in the States and in Canada. So they're probably posted now, at least the Japanese commentaries.
Yeah, I'm going to wait for the English ones. I trust that Thomas won't give it away. But yeah, I cannot wait to see if our predictions come true.
Same.
So, John, what did you think of my classic match recommendation?
Oh my God. One of my new favorite matches of all time. Without a doubt, in my top 5 now. Can't go down and rank them right now, but for sure, with like I love this match. I went back and rewatched parts of it because I liked it so much. And yeah, it's just everything that I love about wrestling in a single match. We're talking about Samoa Joe versus Kenta Kobashi in Ring of Honor in 2005. And I'm so happy you asked me to watch this match. I love Samoa Joe. He's one of my favorite performers in WWE. I wish that he won the Battle of the Titans at SummerSlam like 4 years ago, and would like to see him do more. So it's like, it feels so good to see him. And this is all, I don't know, I'm not familiar with Joe's work prior to him being in WWE, really, to be honest. So to go back and watch him in this match was insane. And right at the start, the room goes dark and Joe's music thunders through the arena. You can audibly hear someone in the crowd scream, "Oh my God," as Joe's music begins fizzling through the PA system. They start chanting Joe in unison as his music continues to crackle through the loudspeakers. Joe blasts through the curtain, towel around his neck, and the crowd goes apeshit. He stomps his way to the ring along to the cadence of his entrance music. He nods along with the crowd as they continue to chant the name of the true beast incarnate, Samoa Joe. There's a heavy ECW vibe to this right at the start. The blaring bass is reminiscent of New Jack's entrance in the late 1990s, but this is not the 1990s, and this isn't Extreme Championship Wrestling. He enters the ring and begins to stomp around the squared circle like a dominant predator marking his territory. Samoa Joe is ready to throw down with the legendary Kenta Kobashi. The house lights come up and the crowd quiets for a few seconds. They collectively remember who is incoming, and the excitement for Joe wears off, and they begin to chant Kobashi in a booming unison. You can feel the walls of the room closing in as the space is filled with the voices of screaming wrestling fans. Two absolute mountains of Samoan and Japanese beef are about to clash. Kenta makes his way to the ring as the announcer introduces both wrestlers. As Kobashi's name is announced, the frame is filled with streamers in respect to the legend of All Japan. The crowd somehow gets even louder. Kobashi peers out into the sea of screaming people with a solemn and stern face. He's here to fight and he isn't interested in pandering. Kenta stretches himself on the ropes and then saunters to the center of the ring, his hand outstretched to the Samoan monster known as Joe. Joe accepts the code of honor and gives him a nod and an angry look that would melt most men. The camera pans out as the two stand in their corners. The bell rings and they begin to circle the ring. Kenta and Joe keep attempting to lock up, but Joe defiantly kicks Kobashi. Joe pins him against the ropes and slaps one of the most terrifying wrestlers to ever enter the squared circle, right square in the face. They lock up again, but this time Kenta pins Joe in the corner and throws down a heavy chop that could crumble a marble statue to dust. The crowd begins chanting, "This is awesome," as Joe retaliates with an explosive suplex. Joe then staggers Kenta to the ground and knocks him to the outside. He winds up for a baseball slide, then follows with a colossal suicide dive to the outside. The crowd begins screaming Joe as he gives them a knowing glance. Back in the ring, Kenta and Joe begin to trade blows back and forth, and while Kobashi brings thunderous chops to Joe, they are no match for the Samoan submission machine's vicious kicks and grappling combinations. Joe takes the fight back to the outside as the crowd chants ROH. He continues to pummel Kobashi with a sequence of high-energy strikes and high-flying spots. Kobashi regains control of the match on the outside as he screams and signals for a chop that knocks Joe up, over the barricade, and into the crowd. Kobashi has the face of a killer. He stares off into the crowd as they chant his name in unison. The first big move from Kobashi comes at about 13 minutes into this match. He throws down a DDT on Joe on the outside, and as the crowd chants, "I can't see shit," he rolls Joe's lifeless body back into the ring. Kobashi has the upper hand now as he runs Joe around the ring and chops the life out of him. It's almost as if you could see Joe's spirit leaving his body with each strike. Kobashi goes for a suplex but can't get Joe up. Joe counters with a suplex of his own, and the two stagger to their feet. Kobashi meets Joe with a series of chops, and Joe responds with kicks and chops of his own. These two are just beating the living shit out of each other with every single inch of energy and adrenaline that they can harness. The crowd chants as Kobashi's spirit meter begins to fill and Joe's depletes. Kobashi stretches Joe, throws down a chop, and goes for his first cover. It's only a 2 count and Joe starts to fight back. He knocks Kobashi to the ground and runs to the ropes to throw down a senton. He glides through the air as his back makes contact with Kobashi's torso. Classic Samoa Joe. Joe continues on the offense with an absolutely insane sequence of moves that includes a spinning buckle bomb, a huge avalanche brainbuster where he walks Kobashi around the ring before dropping him to the mat, and a colossal power bomb that Joe rolled over into a submission. The crowd is screaming and begging Kobashi not to tap, but Joe holds on to him strong. Kobashi is worn down, but he makes it to the rope for a break. Both men roll to their respective corners for a beat, and they rush to the center of the ring, and Kobashi throws down a belly-to-belly suplex on all 300 pounds of Samoan beef, that is Joe. Kobashi has the upper hand now as he lays what looks like hundreds of strikes upon Joe's chest. The crowd's hands clap in tandem as Kobashi's hands clap and break down the skin on Joe's chest. The back and forth in this match is absolutely incredible. Kobashi pulls Joe to the center of the ring and throws down a colossal belly-to-belly suplex and goes for the pinfall. Joe grabs the rope just before the ref counts 3. Kenta clearly has the upper hand now as he towers over Joe while Joe flops around on the ground like a wounded animal. The crowd's screams continue to fill the space and wrap around these two titans. Kenta stands over Joe, fists clasps, and lets out a blood-curdling scream. Joe tries to fight back, but Kenta has too much power. Kobashi throws down a sequence of chops that stagger Joe. He then runs for the ropes and throws down an axe bomber that crumbles Joe into pieces. Kenta gets the 3 count as he pins what's left of Joe's body for the win. The crowd goes back and forth between chanting arigato and match of the year as highlights are shown on screen. Kenta props Joe's body up as the two embrace and raise their hands together. The video ends with Samoa Joe cutting a promo proclaiming, I gave it my all for the sport I love. Here's to you, Kobashi." Incredible sequence of moves. Not many moves done in this match. Just like,
the hardest chops ever.
It was a masterpiece.
That was a great recap of probably the hardest Hoss-off I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, it's very a lot of the Makabe Ishii match, very reminiscent of this match here.
Very much in the style. I didn't understand how Joe was not covering up his chest when Kenta was hitting him like 100 times in the corner. Like,
yeah, towards
just
the
imagine
end there.
getting hit once like that. Right? Oh man! At one point, Kenta is basically he's chopping Joe so high on the chest that he looks like he's hitting him in the throat.
Yeah. There's a lot of moments in this where it's like true like contact, strong style. We're fucking each other up, and
yes,
we agreed to do this, and we're doing it. This
is strong style.
Yeah. I am so happy to have seen the match. I actually, now that I've reread that, probably am going to rewatch this match again this weekend. Just thinking about the visuals and vignettes of early Ring of Honor, it's something that I didn't watch any of. So, and we've watched in a Supercard with Thomas, Kenta versus Daniel Bryan, which similarly was an incredible match. Just, it's like the wrestling of New Japan combined with the crowd of ECW, and
nice.
Then featuring all of these wrestlers that we know and love in present day. It's great. Yeah,
I got some more for you coming down the line as well.
I can't wait. My match for you, in picking this match, I hope it's okay that I actually didn't even consider the fact that I picked another Suzuki match.
That's okay.
I
was thinking about double dipping on Shawn Michaels as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good. All right. Well, I guess we're doing it like every other. Our recommendations come every other week too, so I guess it's not that big of a deal. But this match was talked about, I think, on the second or third episode of the show when Timothy Thatcher and Matt Riddle did their NXT Fight Pit match. I mentioned that it seemed like a nod to Pancrase. Yeah. So this is a match that took place on May 13th, 1995 at the event Eyes of Beast 4. Ken Shamrock faces Minoru Suzuki, and
I'm so excited.
Sick.
That sounds awesome.
I can't wait for you to watch it. I love this match. Very, very cool visuals, and
I love Shamrock.
It's great. And yeah, seeing someone that we know and love from the Attitude Era versus someone that we love now. Yeah, it's like it's crazy, and it's cool to see. Like, it just makes sense that Ken Shamrock was booked as such an absolute monster in WWE, at least in terms of how scary he seemed. And yeah, this match really sells it.
I just forgot to mention, I just want to say this again. Did you know that match, Joe versus Kobashi, happened less than a month after the three-way dance with Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles?
Oh my God, no! We need to book a Joe Supercard from that time. Yeah,
just like 365 days in the life of Joe.
Then yeah, we need to do that for sure. That can come after the Ospreay and Naito Supercards.
That would be a hot cup of Joe.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
That's a very niche podcast. Cup of Joe. We both review coffee and watch Samoa Joe matches.
We've managed to make our niche. Olivia Wilde is going to be even more upset than she was when she was initially booked for the program.
We could watch any wrestling. No, it's only Samoa Joe matches. Dude, next week we'll be talking about GCW, the Backyard, the New Japan Cup semifinals. Fyter Fest 2. What an absolutely stacked week of wrestling we have to look forward to.
Can't wait.
Check us out at torturact.com. Pre-orders, I think, will be closed by the time this airs, but I'm gonna I'll put a second sort of like wave of pre-orders up in the coming weeks. Thanks again to everyone that's ordered the book.
This has been another episode of the Torture Racked podcast. You can follow my co-host, John F. Malta, at John F. Malta on Instagram and all social media. You can follow me at Waste of Taste on Instagram. You can follow us at Torture Racked on Instagram. And we'll see you next week for some more wrestling.